Work hard. Ah. I'm Damilare Jamiu Koinsola. I'm here with the CCR to share a bit about my journey and work. I'm managing this space. I'm living here and I'm having a space that is for my studio. So, as a Nigerian, where you find yourself in this kind of circumstance, you just have to find every means possible to make sure you get to where you want to get to. I can't keep complaining about the government for what they did. I just have to find my way around how I can make the world see what I have and how better I could become if I have a bigger opportunity. Welcome to my space.
Hi. How did your journey into art begin?
I started art as a hobby at a very early age of my life. So I started making drawings when I was very, very young, and I had a lot of fans for my work when I was very, very young. I used to draw comics, draw super strikers, and from there, my brothers and my mother particularly saw this talent in me and thought of developing it for me. So after my secondary school, I took fine art courses and I was the best student in fine art. I had a project then that I drew. I did a very big painting on a wall in my school then. So, and I was given a lot of award for that painting. So from there, my family saw this as a potential that they should help me develop. So they registered me under Master Muiwa Williams in Mushin, Lagos, where I studied him as an apprentice. So for 4.5 years, so I graduated from Miss Master Muiwa Williams, and from there I got a small space as a roadside artist in Pakpajao Mushin, where I started practicing art. So I created time for myself to practice my art and develop. From there, I started studying other artists, foreign artists, particularly the artist that had one of the most impact on me is Gustav Klimt, the Austrian painter. Gustav Klimt. I studied a lot of his work, and but not his style, but the idea behind what he does. So from there, studying Gustav Klimt, I also had to study the style of master painters who are Nigerians. I visited a lot of studios in Lagos, a lot of exhibitions, and I did courtesy visits to a lot of master painters who recognizes my work too. So from there, I started creating works and taking them for shows, the Maker Gallery, Terra Culture, and so many other galleries collected my work while I was very young. So that was around 2015, 2016. This I'm talking about. So from 2016, 17, I had to think of creating my own, working on myself and creating my own style after acquiring all this skill and all this experience from all these artists. So I started practicing in my studio 2016, 17, and from there, yeah, the journey has brought me down to this level that I am today, 2025. So it's been a very long time, and I just had to. The major thing I learned over the years is just that I realized this is what I'm made for, and this is what I should be doing on a daily basis. After 2016, when I got to university, I was told to study linguistics, but I wanted to be an artist. So after school, I just had to still come back to where I left. Started practicing art as a full-time artist.
What moment would you say shaped you as an artist?
That was 2020 during the COVID-19. Yeah. Um, a lot of I've been practicing landscape over the years and some figurative painting, but during 2020, while we were for the COVID-19 indoor for the COVID-19, I had a lot of I did a lot of practice, and mentally I went through a lot of depression because I was totally broke and I couldn't further my career as an artist, as a full-time artist. I had to apply for works, and even with the fact that I was working, I still had to create time for my studio practices on weekends. So it got to a moment when I just thought like all the things I've been doing, they are not what I want to live for. I don't see future in them. I just had to just zero my mind up or conclude my mind and just focus on being an artist. That moment and what I went through, the depression I went through during 2020 was what brought about me talking about mental well-being and and identity sometimes and social the ecosystem as well too. Because that 2020 I also went into farming as a means of survival. So I learned a lot about the nature, how human relate to nature, how human relate to animals, pets, and if you see my work today, you can all see all these things I have lived through inside my work.
What has helped you stay committed to your practice?
My willingness. I used to feel it within me that this is exactly what I'm meant to be doing with my life. This is just that's why when I sell my work, it feels I'm selling a big part of myself because all my works are drawn from a strong inspiration of emotion and my life, my everyday experience, because you are buying a day in and day out of my existence in life. So the willingness to always practice art as something I'm very, very sure of that this is what I want to do. I've done so many other things, but they don't feel like me doing art. Even while I'm there, my art is always in my studio. So I feel like it's just inside me to be an artist. I'm a natural artist.
How would you describe your art style?
Believe I am a portrait painter, and most times when you see my work, you see a figure of someone very identical to the person actually seeing the work, a black person, because my work is centered on painting black people. So for a black person seeing my work for the first time, I want the person to see another version of him or herself. So my work, if you can see if you see some of my recent works, they are cultured in beautiful and vibrant colors, ornamented with flowers, bees, and butterflies, just to pass a message on mental health and societal balance, identity. Whenever it is I make a painting, I always have an avenue to remember my father because this is what he lives for. The mask design is what my father lives for, and this is his favorite clothes ever, fabric ever. So it's always an avenue for me to remind myself of who I am, where I'm coming from, and those that paid a lot of contribution to what my work is about and what I live for. So the marks represent more than just a work for me. They represent my journey, my family, and all the loves I've experienced from people. The mask painting with three different colors in the background of a black man and woman should definitely know this is Damilare Jami's art. So for if you still have a doubt, then look at the color. I always work with vibrant colors. Many people have been here to talk about slavery, this struggle. Yes, they've talked a lot about it, and many artists have talked about it. I don't want to talk about African struggle. There is always a beautiful part of what an African or black man goes through and experience on a daily basis. So I always make sure I'm making beautiful paintings of black people, and I put along with it flowers, butterflies, and bees that depicts beauty. Yeah, so if you've seen my work, I want you to also see a version of yourself that no matter the circumstance you're going through, you should definitely know that there is a beautiful part of you that exist and is worthy of existing and living for. That's how I want people to feel when they see my work for the first time. You see my work, you see a beautiful version of yourself in my work.
Which of your artworks hold special meaning for you?
There is this painting I did last year after the death of my dad for months. The title is Allegory of Memories. That means a picture representation of memories. For over for months, 2 or 3 months, I was unable to paint due to I was mourning for my dad who died, and I had to, as an artist, I believe we have to work hand in hand with time. We have to create memories and emotions, memories from emotions with our work. I think that's our basic, as an artist, that's our primary objective. So I was telling myself that this is my primary objective, to make a meaning of what my I believe my dad really lived for. My dad is a fashionista, likes traveling, and whenever he travels, he always come home with dresses, different materials of dresses. Always these foreign attires, yeah, all these foreign British attires. It brings them when it goes to Morocco or Algeria, brings them. Even Damask. So after he died, I had to create a work that I believe stands for what he lived for, and that's the title of the work, Allegory of Memories. It was a lot of emotion to me. Even in the painting, there is a place where I had to add a red dot. It's a painting of is the work is very somehow is a painting. I painted a wall, a gallery wall in the painting, and there is a frame of the work also in the painting. It's like spending two time. There is two different moments: the moment you are snapping the work, of you are experiencing the art, and the moment I myself experience the art. They are both inside a painting. So I had to put a sold tag inside that paint, that I sold this work to myself first before any other person could buy it. It's a lot of, if I had the time to tell people about how much deep this work is for me, to be a great privilege. It's sold now, and I'm happy I sold it to one of the best and inspiring collectors in the art world.
What does your art process usually look like?
It takes a lot of process to get to the final stage of my work. At first, I always have this painting already in my head from the beginning to the start before I lay my hand on any fresh canvas. So after I have this idea in my head and I've thought about it, I've evaluated all these ideas, I then go into sketching. I sketch on my sketch pad how I want the work to looks like. Then I come back to how I want the value to look like, the contrast, the balance in color, and the colors I want to use. So I agree on the color, then I move ahead to bring in the sketching on the canvas. And after sketching on the canvas, I still had to take my time to do the first coating. You can see this painting. This is this is a first coating of my work. This is like a draft of what of my painting. This is the first coating. I call it the first coating. So from here, I always have the time to edit, to bring in new figures, to evaluate what exactly I want to pass as a message to whosoever is viewing my work, and not to go outside of what I my work represents. So I always keep that signature of what my work looks like. I will make it remain in the painting. So if you see any of my new paintings, most usually the figure, I invite models into my studio. I take different shots of different models. Most times I use Kwelumi as my model. So I use Kwelumi as my model. Most times I just have to change very few features. And sometimes I can add the figure, but I will use like 4 or 5 different images to create one person. This person doesn't really exist, because this I use 4 to 5 images to create this. The eyes from a different place, the nose from a different place, the mouth from a different place, the bald head from a different place, the clothes from a different place, the button. So I want this work to the look in the subject is actually talking to the viewer. There's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of mixed emotion in the painting, and even with the fact that in the face the gaze is striking and saying a lot of things, yet there is still this attire that make it feel like an empress, or someone it talks about tranquility, because the purple in the work depicts royalty, and she's royal, but she's going she's like a descendant of royals, but she's going through life. So that's the process of my work. And after I'm done with the painting, I still take my time to study the contrast. I convert the painting to black and white and study the contrast, study the effect, study the saturation and the color level of how I want it to be for me. I step down out colors. I use complementing colors, and sometimes colors are what defines what exactly I want my message to stand for.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge for you as an artist?
I think I'll have to answer from the general perspective. For all artists who are my colleagues, Nigerian artists whom we've shared time to talk about all these challenges with, think the major challenge that we are facing generally is shortage in art sales, inconsistent funding for artists, limited access to agencies and collectors on all these art firms, and there is a barrier for international exposure. I think it's all these four challenges are the top challenges that has avoided or limited people's being a full-time artist or taking art as a livelihood. Apart from that, personally, I have the challenge of um barrier international exposure. I've been practicing art and I have a lot of fan base. I've sold over 40 to 50 artworks to foreign investors, collectors, galleries. I even sold 4 works to a museum in the US, the NAACP museum, and they are even requesting for more works. They want to collect more works. But what I see as the problem is we are very limited to learning. There is no access to learning because as an artist, I so much believe in mentorship. There is no avenue for mentorship. Galleries or curators or collections or art firms that mentor artists on how to go about their career as an artist. I've applied for over 30 residency programs, but there has been no feedback. Sometimes I have people in my DM who would like to have me sign me as an artist, but they will tell me my location is limiting the potential of us working hand in hand because the gallery might be in the US or in the UK, but I'm in Nigeria. They will have to consider the aspect of shipping my work to them, how they'll have to relate with me in person because they believe that I think they believe that if you're an artist in Africa or in Nigeria, you have a lot of disadvantage. Even when some collectors want to buy your work, they'll still have to consider that you're in Nigeria. They won't send you the money because they would believe maybe you run away with their money, and most times the mediums, even if they want to buy your work and they believe in you, they won't believe in their medium of sending the money, whether it's Western Union or wire transfer, because most of what is working in the outside world is just not working in Nigeria. MoneyGram or Western Union, there is a big percentage that the Nigerian government will get. So what is left for an artist who has gotten all this malaria, all these art resources, and has a family to feed? So it's very challenging just being in Nigeria. And yeah, it's I don't know how to put it in general word, but I know we are going through a strong. I'm going through a strong challenge that has hindered me from actually progressing to. I'm actually progressing, but I think there is a lot of potential that I can still that I have that I still want the world to see. But with these challenges, I hope I'll find my way around it.
What are some of your future plans?
I look forward to my future project, particularly my first solo exhibition. I believe so much that I have a lot to say, and I think the world is just here to actually listen to my story. If I had the privilege of having my first solo exhibition, I think to be a very great avenue for me to let people see the potential I believe I have, and I would like the world to also see. So from there, I hope to learn from curators, galleries, and some collectors. I hope to work hand in hand with all art fairs and art shows, and hopefully, I know so sure that I have a lot of story to tell. Yeah.
What's one key piece of advice you'll give to an aspiring artist?
Work hard. Nigeria will show you but I can't explain myself that way. Yeah. No, I can't. No, I want you to be relaxed. That was good. That's why I always have a story to tell. But Nigeria, you can't be a Nigerian and be looking for inspiration because you are born inside inspiration, and you don't even have to wait for a time for inspiration to set in. Once I have my canvas, I know what to do to because there is too much to talk about. I live in inspiration every day. I go out in inspiration. Yes, my day in day out is something to talk about. When I meet people, I listen to their story. That's what I do the most. I listen to people's story. I listen to people's story a lot, and I read a lot. So I don't read all this. I read real stories. So to be able to connect and put myself in the position of the character in whatsoever it is I'm reading, and try to digest their experience into what I can interpret with my work. So I have different teams that I work with, and it's very, very challenging. So for upcoming artists, the process is challenging. In as irrespective of that, or however, work hard. Work hard. Being a full-time artist or having art as a career is possible, even if you are a Nigerian. It's very, very possible. And there is a lot of potential if you keep working hard and developing your skill, keep showing up every day, day in, day out. I was once a roadside artist. And even with this level I am now, I have so many people who still see me as a big figure in this Nigeria. So that means I was once in a level before I got here. So if you're an upcoming artist, even seeing me having a small space studio, if this is should be your first step, at least yes, that means you have a lot of place to go. Because I also have a lot of place to go to. And yes, just work hard. That's one thing. Work hard, pray. Work hard, pray. All the best.
Why is mentoring important?
As I was an apprentice of a master, I didn't go to the university or college to study art. I studied under a master who went to school to study art, practice art. I also make my studio open for whosoever it is who wants to pursue a career in art. And here is Pelumi, who is an apprentice, is under me, under my tutelage, and I'm taking him through the process of being a full-time studio artist. I'm helping him develop his potentials. Hopefully, he will be a world-class artist someday. The CC Art 100. Believe me, 100. All the best.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. That's it for now. Subscribe to the CC Art to discover more artists, more stories, more art.